to Love Write Create or hashtag Love Write Create. I'm Gabby Robbins, and welcome. We've been gone for a little while, breaking and holidays and writing and trying to write and all that kind of stuff. So we're back, and we thought we would just give a little bit of where we're at right now. But I want to introduce, first of all, Kelly Ross. Want to say hi, Kelly?
Hello. It's so good to be back.
Yes, and also Morgan Wiley.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome, ladies. And tonight, all of us are writing. All of us are, get into it doing edits, which I haven't gotten to that point, but people say it was really rough. So we thought, what's something that you can do if you need a brain break that's going to help you in the long run, that's going to help you in the future, even though, it's kind of one of those things where you're just trying to get something done to clear your mind from the lovely edits and writing. So we thought we'd talk about author branding and the things that maybe we look for when we found a favorite book and we want to find out about that author, and just maybe some of those things can help us or can help you all if you're trying to figure out what your brand is. All right, so let's just start off with, first off, just a general question. You read this awesome book, super cool. You love the characters. The author's voice is awesome. Kelly, what are some things you look for when you're going to research this author?
Okay, so the first thing I tend to look for is a really good list that's readily available of everything they've ever written. Because if I liked the book that I just read or the series, I want to find something else that they have written and I want to get my hands on it and read it. So I think that I do go online or I do go on Amazon or Goodreads or something and find a list, but I don't specifically go to Amazon or Goodreads first. I usually do a Google search with their name, their author name, and then whatever is that first clickable thing other than the ads, I'll click on that. So hopefully it's their website if they have one, and I can click books or something like that, or it's on the front page of their website, everything that they've written and how I can get a hold of it. That's my first thing. I mean, there are lots of things I probably look for. I hope that their website is attractive and that I want to actually peruse it a little bit because there's more about the book that I just read even. But yeah, I think that I do a Google search, like a random Google search with their name, and I hope that I can find their book or the books that they've written really, really quickly, and that maybe even there's something that I can click to get to where I can buy that book.
Right.
So that's probably the first thing, the most important thing to me.
Okay, and Morgan, anything from you? What do you do?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not sure mine's that much different. So I think first I would always, and not in any particular order, I either go to Amazon or their website, or I look for a website, like Callie said, and so want to know what books either are next in that particular series that I'm reading, or if they've written other things. Probably secondarily, after I do that, if I'm just in love with the person, I will try to find them on Facebook, stalk them a little bit, or Instagram, because then I would like to see the pictures of if they have other books, look at their covers, look at what their life is like. So yeah, not much different.
Yeah, I do pretty much the same thing. I will say that and it's not as much anymore just because the vibe on there isn't as lovely as it used to be, but my go-to is Goodreads, and mostly because of the way that it's organized. If I search the name of the title of the book, I can always click on the author, and then I can always find what books they've written and their series, right? Because you want to know, if I read a book, I want to know where it is in the series, because sometimes Amazon doesn't always have all that information. It's always very clear. But for me, that's always my first go-to. Obviously, I don't read all the reviews like I used to because they're not always very nice. But I do like the organizational style of that. And then usually there's the profile there that gives you their website and if they have Twitter and if they have all those fun things. But yeah. Okay, so a lot of us said website. And I know that Kelly and I did a fun little game, which is something that I think everybody should do when you're looking for branding, is picking some of your favorite authors or some very well-known authors and jumping on their websites and just seeing how they're organized. So that's a fun thing to do, which I know me and Kelly sat and did the other night. But when you go to a website, what for you are just maybe your top 3 things that you really want to see on a website? And we'll go over and just give me a little bit of why you think that's important. Morgan, do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay, let's see. Top 3. I look for a book list. I look for an interesting about them section, want a little more about them. And I also look for extras, like maybe something else that had to do with the world I was just reading in. Maybe it's a map, maybe it's a character profiles, or just fun little extras, or maybe some freebies, something like that, just to kind of see what else they have out there.
Okay. Callie?
I was gonna say extras first, because that I do. After I Google the author's name, I usually Google the book, just because I want to see if there's anything else out there that I've missed, whether it's the series name or sometimes I find a book that I love and I know it's a series, but I don't know which order the books go in. So I love to find something that is book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5, like so that I know what order to buy them in. So in addition to extras, like I love to go and find excerpts, or like sometimes it's a playlist that the author has put together that goes with the novel that I like to kind of see what they were listening to when they were writing. And I'm trying to think. I'm kind of with Morgan on the About Me page too, but I like for it to be interesting. Like I don't necessarily really read through like 2 or 3 paragraphs about the author. It's kind of one of those, I want to get bullet points. It sounds so lazy, but I kind of want to know if they like grilled cheese, or if they would rather go skiing or swimming, or like it just random stuff. Like I don't know why I like that kind of thing. So yeah, extras, a really funny, quirky About Me, and I'm kind of a sucker for a good blogger. I mean, I know that sounds like something that most people follow, a blogger that is into what they're into and whatnot, and obviously I'm going to want to read what a writer is writing about. But if I find a really good blogger that writes really well to me as a reader, and then also to me as a writer, I find that so intriguing, and I go back over and over again, even when I'm finished with their books. So, I mean, that's something, and I don't really see a lot of authors being great bloggers just because I know they're writing books. And so it's not their fault, but when I find one, dude, I am like on their website every other week or so just to see what else they're posting about.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is the same for me. I want to go and I want to find out about them. That's very interesting that you said about bloggers. Finding out about them is just seeing like if they're talking about the stuff that they like, right? So I know that there was one author where I loved her voice in a book, and I went to her blog, and it was all about where was Edward in the Twilight movies, because he wasn't really there, and she just went on this long talk about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this person. And I read 3 of her books because I just thought she was just funny and quirky, and right, it's just interesting to get just like a little bit of insight on a totally different subject from what they're writing about, and something that you love too. So I agree with that. I also look instantly for where they are on social media, because I do like to see just a snippet of the things that they're enjoying. My favorites are Twitter and Instagram, but I love to be able to follow them that way, because I might not go back to the blog, right? I might not go back to their website. But if I'm following them on Twitter and I'm following them on Instagram, I'm going to get a snippet. I'm also going to get updates that way, because I've got, so many blogs that I follow already that I'm getting updates from in my email. I like it better to do something like that. But Absolutely. A lot of the same stuff you said. A list of books is really important because I want to know from the author the best way to read. You know, there's sometimes where they'll write novellas and they're like, well, it's probably better if you don't read that novella until the end, you know, and sometimes you're not getting all that information on Amazon or wherever you're buying the book. Okay. Websites, I feel like that is just a whole big question when it comes to branding. Obviously, you go there looking for specific things, but when you're talking about an author's brand, I know there's a lot of authors that brand their websites based on the novel series that's out right now, and then some authors just have a totally different brand completely. What's your viewpoints on those two things? Anyone want to start? Callie knows what she wants to say. I can see it on her face.
I've been thinking about this. Okay, so it's kind of a little bit of a pet peeve of mine when an author is completely morphed into whatever their most recent release is. Like as far as their website or social media is concerned. Like I totally don't mind you pimping out your book or having your cover up as your profile picture for a week, like that it's being released, or even having it be the first blog post that I see on your blog for a couple of weeks that it's released, that, you know, just been released. But when an author has a series, and the thing I guess is that I know so many authors that have multiple series or they have multiple projects, and their whole website is based on the series that they're currently writing. I think that their other novels get lost, and who they are gets lost. And so, for me, I feel like that it's so important for your readers to know what kind of writer you are, because if they like the type of writer you are, they're going to read everything that you write and not just the one novel that you are blasting out there. So it's not like I'm saying it's a horrible thing to do, because sure, book cover, they're going to know it's you. But what happens when you move on to the next series, or what happens when you finish a series and move on to something else? Does that last series you wrote or the last book you wrote, does it matter anymore? I just feel like that who you are as a writer is really important, and that, I think, is what draws readers into reading everything you write and not just that one book or that one series. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I have a question for you, because I agree with what you're saying, because I think that is important. It's branding who you are. It's not being stuck in a series. Like you said, if you've got multiple things out, we want to know all of it. But here's a practical question I have. So would you suggest, like say on a blog or maybe even your Facebook page, you have a banner with picture on it. So say release week, you've got your book you're releasing. That's featured, that's prominent, that's out there. So a week goes by, maybe two. Then do you like when an author has all of their books like pictured so that you can see them all, or would you rather there not be that and just be the author?
Ooh, okay. Well, I guess for me, especially with Facebook, even with Twitter now, you have this space, this banner space that you can use in addition to your profile picture. And I'm not saying that if you're a writer that you don't put yourself out there very often, like you don't go to conventions, you don't go to book signings, like if you want to be more, like in your closet and not let people see you, then that's different. But I do believe that if you're out there and you're at events and you're doing things, that your face has to be there somewhere so that people can recognize and know who you are. But I do feel like that there are so many places that you can put those pictures. Splash up on your banner all of your book covers. That's totally cool. And then have your profile picture be a picture of you. If you're someone that's not out there and you don't want your face out there, I get it. I mean, like, I totally get that if that's what your preference is. And then maybe you do have it that it's your most recent release. But just know that if you don't have all of those other images out there, if you're not promoting everything about it or blogging about it, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's different. I think it's different, Morgan, in the sense that on your social media platforms, you can put up banners and have pictures switched out easily. We're talking, right. I think it's more about when you brand your entire website, like the background is the map from your series, and the font is the font from your series, and there's elves running around and that whole thing, because that's in your series. Like, there's a difference between when you're doing promo and like I know lots of authors who, a lot of their email blasts are specifically for the book that's coming out at that time, and the stuff that they send out to you, it's mostly marketing for that one book that's coming out now. But if you go to their sites, it's not necessarily generic, but it's more about them, right? Mm-hmm. It's about promoting Morgan Wiley, who writes the series, these series. And I think the integral difference would be, you as an author need to give yourself enough leeway and platform to be able to promote yourself and be able to push out whatever you decide to do, right? Whether it's, your fairy books and then your other books. I just feel like when you pigeonhole yourself, if somebody comes looking for your fairy books and all they're seeing is your new series, and then it's confusing. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I liked how you said there's a difference between promoting yourself, that's not even a word, between promo and branding, that you can do both and do that simultaneously and fit that in. I think for me specifically, I was starting to question, because for the first time I'm going to be putting something out other than the series that I've had. Right. So I was trying to decide, do I do that, with all covers, and is that okay to kind of mix and match, or do people like that or not?
Yeah, I mean, I want to know everything that you're doing, and I think when it comes to like websites, that's the cool part, going to like an author who has produced different books, like written books that are fantasy series and then contemporary series, is to see that way that they're promoting those books on their websites. That's a great thing to do, to sit and research. Yeah. Because they've got so many great templates now. I will say I am totally all about the WordPress, and I'm totally all about that because they've got such easy-to-use templates that have those cool sliding picture bars where you're seeing, you've got your Elandria series, and then you've got the Hot Boys series, and then you've got whatever series on, and you're able to promote all those different things. There's so many options now that you can have that kind of thing. I just feel like, you have to think about it that way. You're promoting you, who writes these different books, I feel like is really important.
Sliding things. So are we talking normal people easy, or Morgan challenged easy?
Well, I mean, that's what you have us for, right?
Yep. I need to work on that.
Right. Okay, so we talked about that, and just what a good thing it is to, definitely go and see websites. Do you guys have any favorite websites? Like, I know for me, I love simple, clean, modern websites. Obviously, if you have all fantasy series, I think there's a way to turn that on your ear. There's some, like, somebody who writes a ton of fantasy and urban fantasy is Chuck Wendig, and he has got a great website. It kind of has a literary feel to it, but he writes so many different series, Morgan. That's a good person to jump on and check out.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
And then, like, Rainbow Rowell is one of my favorites. Just her marketing and branding. I don't know if she does it all, but, obviously she sent me stuff in the mail one time, and it was all branded and lovely. But her website is branded really well, too, because she's got all her different standalones. So that's a great way to go and check things out, and to just show your personality, right? You're picking something that's clean. I also think that you don't want to just think, well, I'll just do this site for free and get it done to have one out there. Really spending some time and doing the research, I feel like, is really important, because that might be the only thing somebody sees of you and who you are. Kelly, do you have any things that you like about certain websites or that are your favorite?
Yeah, I think I took the route of finding a few that are a little bit more unique, just because I knew the ones that you liked, Gabby. And one of the ones I love is Heather Lyons' website. It's really true to who she is as a person, and not necessarily to her series that she's written. And it's not even that she has this website that pigeonholes her into a certain genre. It's that she just writes a certain type of book, whether it's sci-fi or whether it's historical or whatever it is. And so she markets herself for who she is and what she loves. And so I love that about her website. And then I also put down Deanna Rayburn. And this is, again, like, I'm going from YA to like adult. Deanna Rayburn writes historical romance type of novels, more mystery, but her website is so her. Like, it is, she can write 3 or 4 different series, and they all be, one from the 1600s, one from the 1800s, one from, early 1900s. But the way that her website is orchestrated is it's just unique and different, and it really is who she is. She goes to signings and wears that red lipstick that she's wearing in the picture on her website at every signing. Heather Lyons, you see her in person and you think, oh my gosh, she looks just like her website, because she's just frilly and cute and sweet, and that's what her website is. And I think that those are really I have a ton, actually. Those are just 2 really good examples of names that I think some readers will know right away.
Right. I know, Morgan, we're kind of putting you on the spot here.
I'm like, wait, I'm looking up. I'm like, wow, you had that planned out. How'd you do that?
Sorry.
No worries, no worries. Okay, well, we talked about things that we love about when we go to websites and what we look for. One thing that I look for, I told you every time I go, is their social media. And so a part of branding really now is your persona on your social media. Now, there is so many platforms and so many things you can do. And I feel like as important it is to pick your colors and to know how you want to present you on your website, is to have some sort of social presence out there. Obviously, the big ones are Instagram, which is a younger audience. But Kelly pointed out about Instagram. Do you want to give your insight about Instagram?
Well,
why more people would want to use that?
Yeah, it is essentially a platform that reaches multiple platforms. So if all you want to have to do is deal with one app on your phone, I'm not even kidding. Instagram is the way to go, because you can post it to Instagram and it will automatically slip through whatever little internets are out there, and it goes to Facebook, it goes to Tumblr, and it goes to Twitter. And so for those of you that that are scared of social media, Instagram is the way to go. It really is, especially if you are trying to reach a younger YA audience. Even college students, I'll be honest, the college kids that I work with, all of them have Instagrams, and all they want are pictures from people. They don't care if you're having a good day or a bad day. They want to see your good day or your bad day. And I think that
a good way to market too is by pictures, which you're a pro at. Like, if you want to find something that you're good at, something like that, Kelly is great at editing things on Canva, editing things on apps on her phone, and showing and pushing, promoting her books and things that way. So that's good. Morgan, which I know you're the queen of this, you want to give a little insight as to Facebook, because I feel like you're the queen at making relationships on Facebook, but promoting that way. Why Facebook for you? Why do you like Facebook so much?
I like it because I feel like first of all, I feel like there's a lot of people on there, especially 2 sides of it. I think there's a lot of writers on there that I've been able to connect that way and build a relationship, especially in our age group. I think especially, maybe not so much the younger readers, but especially ours, and maybe on up a little bit. but that to me was kind of a great base to build those relationships from, that I've since been able to take beyond that. I will be honest and say that I have pulled back from that some, just because I'm trying to be more disciplined with my writing. And I do really like Instagram. I'm not, on there very much either, as much as I was or was trying to be, but I like the quick, easy pictures that you can take something that reflects who I am, that you could see that quickly. Mm-hmm. And I just like to watch other people. It's kind of this little insight into people's lives. Yeah, so I do, and with Facebook as well. I mean, there's so many things you can put on there. You can do your videos on there. You can do music. You can do, with the books and promoting. It's just so easy to share for other people, to create groups and clubs and fan groups and all kinds of things through that one avenue.
Right.
So.
And it's something that, like, because we did say, like, Instagram, I would like to say that Kelly is the queen of our group as far as Instagram is concerned.
Yeah, for sure.
And Morgan's definitely the Facebook queen. I say Twitter and Instagram are kind of on the same level as far as younger audiences. Mm-hmm. But so many authors, so many of the big authors, they have full-on relationships on Twitter with each other. You see people talking back and forth all the time. So that's a good way. If you're good at that, you're quick with the quips, which I'm not so much. Twitter might be your thing. You know what I mean? Tumblr is definitely a younger audience, college students, things like that. So if you can handle a Tumblr, my Tumblr ends up being pictures and things I'm reblogging and my Instagram and stuff like that. But there's some authors that just go strictly Tumblr. So that's also an option. Pinterest has been huge. I actually love Pinterest for sharing things. My ideas for my book, characters. I mean, there's tons of things you can do. To sharing writers' tips. I see so many blogs that use Pinterest to post all of their writing tips, and obviously YouTube. If you have it in you to sit in front of the camera and to share that way, that's a great way to do it too. How many platforms is too many platforms? Like, just for you personally, what do you feel like is your limit and a good balance just for you personally? Callie, do you have any insight?
Okay. Well, I think the hard part for me is that I try to keep mine separate, but I know they do intermingle just because I have so many friends that are interested in what I'm doing, so I try to kind of multitask there and put things up in both places. But as far as too much, I think it's a personal, I think it has to be something that you set in place for yourself. For me, Instagram is a great option because I can take it through into other mediums, and I can leave Instagram and know that it's not just Instagram, it's 3 other places. YouTube, and this is what's funny, I feel like that I used to have a bigger presence there because I was reviewing novels, but now I feel like I still have somewhat of a presence there because we're doing these Google Hangouts. So I feel like that I'm not there taping myself or videoing myself, like, talking about writing every day. It's how boring would that be? I'm sure that somebody would find someone interesting, as far as, like, journaling. Today I wrote 4 words, that kind of thing. That's just, no, like, not me. But I don't know. I think it's also about seasons, because there may be a time where that is fitting for whatever I'm writing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I think for me though, if I want to be writing, less is more.
Okay, Morgan.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, obviously it's a personal thing. It's how well can you divide your attention? Can you focus on things? Are you on a deadline? Or are you maybe just being creative and starting something new? I mean, like Callie said, there's different seasons. There's some there I'm trying to get ideas for something new, and I just need a brain break. So then I might spend more time on one than another. I think for me, and like Callie said, my my Instagram feeds into my Twitter and my Tumblr, so I'm not on there specifically very much, but I like still keeping the presence there. I use Hootsuite when I am on Twitter, so then I can send it to Facebook or wherever else I send it. So for me, I'm going to say 2 or 3. I like to have my foot in the door to more than that, but as far as actually staying on top of it and kind of keeping it moving, I'm going to say 2 or 3.
Yeah. And so we all agree that you have to have some presence, though, right, as far as social media is concerned?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I will add that Pinterest, I do use that. I can't talk. I do use Pinterest, but I use it personally. And so people find me on there, and I do have 1 or 2 folders or, boards that are for my books. And so, and I do kind of keep those for myself personally, but I have had a few readers say, oh, I love this board, that kind of thing. Right. And I'm glad they found it, and I'm glad it's there, but sometimes I have social media for me, and it ends up not being for me. And I think that's something a lot of authors have to realize, is if you start something with your name on it, it's not just yours anymore when you post it up there.
Right. And a good part about it is that this is just from my social media background, is the first thing we said we do is Google. And if you have your name, which obviously that's another important thing, if you're going to be promoting yourself as an author, your social media should all be your name or whatever you're putting on your books. If you're on these different social media platforms, your website plus your other social media platforms will bring you higher up in the Google rankings, which means when somebody Googles Callie Ross, they're going to get the first 10 things are going to be the actual Callie Ross, and then there might be some random stuff below it, like the fake Callie Ross. So stuff like that, it's important, right? You want people to be able to easily find you.
Right.
So branding is super important for that, to be able to promote, who you want people, what you want people to see for your readers, and the ease of them being able to find you. Anything else? Any final thoughts on branding tonight?
I think there's so many ways to go with this that it's hard.
Right.
This really is just like a window being cracked, like into what branding really can be.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things that you can be specific about, and I feel like that. Gabby and I talked about this, Morgan. I'd love to know what you think, because we talked about authors that we know, and you just say their name and a brand pops in your head. And a few examples: Stephen King. We also talked about who was the mystery thriller writer that we were talking about? Maybe it was just me. But other than Stephen King, I had a couple. Iris Johansen. She's one that I know it's going to be a murder mystery.
Suzanne Collins.
Suzanne Collins.
Was that it?
I don't know about that one. She's interesting. She doesn't have much of a presence.
No,
on
that's
anything.
not who I was thinking. It's the other Collins, the ones that writes the lady books.
Yes.
It's not obviously not a good brand if we can't remember her name.
Part of it is because I read YA, and when I think of when you think of a YA author that is branded, that person writes the same thing every time. I automatically think of I'm seeing the name on the book on my bookshelf. Like Ted Decker's one, but that's not who I'm thinking of. James Patterson, that's who I'm thinking of. Like, it's his adult books and his YA books. They're all the same thing, just less cussing. It's just, there are certain authors that when you pick up their book, you know what you're going to get. And I don't know if I want to be that type of writer, if that makes any sense. But at the same time, I want to be able to have that kind of presence. Like, it's just, I feel sorry for someone that it has put themselves in that position, like a J.K. Rowling or a Veronica Roth, or they are going to be stuck because they are immortalized as this apocalyptic writer or this physical writer, and it's so hard to get out of that, but that branding is brilliant.
Right. Yeah, that is a good question. It's like how far do you go with something that is brilliant branding, but it doesn't pigeonhole you to a certain type of writing? I mean, I think it's good that you have a voice, a recognizable voice, that if people read a book, they're like, oh, it was totally a Kelly Ross book, but it was totally different than her other series, but then you can have different genres and different types of books. And
well, and I wonder too, if you think of somebody who writes a bunch of different genres, which would be like Jen Armentrout, she did for a while. I mean, she obviously now everybody knows she writes everything, but for a while some of her adult books were under a different name. So I feel like there are times where you got to feel it out and see if your readers are going to take different from you. I mean, there's obviously J.K. Rowling had to do she tried to do a totally different name because she knew people weren't going to accept books from her that weren't that fantasy awesomeness. And I don't know that she's been very successful in that, which kind of stinks. But I feel like, overall, especially when you're just starting out, you got to do whatever it takes to give yourself that leg up, right? So give yourself that chance to be remembered. And, I don't even want to think about it, but, I've heard before statistics on how many books are published and self-published in a year. It's like, what's going to give you the leg up to be seen and then to be remembered and recognized? If they can't Google you and find you in the first 5 listings on Google, that's probably a problem. If when they go to Goodreads, they can't find your book to get any information, if that's their cup of tea, that's probably a problem. But, it's one of those things where you have to just, put it in balance. What's writing a book obviously is the most important thing. But nowadays, even if you get signed on to a big publisher, having your own brand and having a platform on social media is going to only help you in the long run, and making sure it's what you want, I think, is important too. So we just wanted to share a little bit and maybe even get some ideas from each other, for each other, so that we're doing everything we can to be superstar authors. Woo! Woo! All right, everyone, thanks for watching. Love, Write, Create. I'm Gabby Robbins, and I'll let them sign themselves out. Go. Somebody. Next.
I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, you guys. We will talk to you in the next few weeks again soon.
Yes. All right, good night. Bye.